सबकी है कि ऐसे व्यक्तित्व का बार बार पदार्पण हो। विश्व शांति के दूत की हर शताब्दी को जरूरत है। गांधी भजन तो हमने हर बार सुना है। महात्मा गांधी को प्रिय वैष्णव जन तो तैने कहिए, ये भजन 15वीं शताब्दी के गुजरात के संत कवि नरसिंह मेहता द्वारा रचित अत्यंत लोकप्रिय भजन है। रघुपति राघव राजा राम श्री नामा रामायणम के भजन का एक अंश है। आजादी की लड़ाई बेशक लंबी रही है, लेकिन इसका सबसे सबल और मुखर पक्ष रहा है आम आदमी यानी कि लोक पक्ष का बढ़ चढ़ कर इसमें हिस्सा लेना। गांधी जी ने अहिंसा, सत्याग्रह, महिला स्वावलंबन और ग्राम विकास को अपना मूल मंत्र बनाया, जिससे लोक पक्ष ने अपने आचार व्यवहार में ढाला और जिसका परिणाम हम उस समय के ज्वलंत लोक गीतों में विभिन्न स्थानों पर देखते हैं। उस दौर में गांधी को लेकर अनेक गीत रचे गए। सोहर, कजरी, फाग से लेकर झूमर और विवाह गीत तक गांधी के रंग में रंगे। तत्कालीन लोकगीतों की प्रासंगिकता और मंत्रमुग्धता आज भी हमारे मन में गूंजती है। हमें विश्वास है इस सार्थक पहल से हम अपने गौरवान्वित स्वतंत्रता संग्राम को आपके सम्मुख एक बार फिर जीवंत कर सकेंगे। संगीत ने मुझे शांति दी है। मुझे ऐसा मौका याद है जब संगीत ने मेरे दिमाग को तुरंत शांत कर दिया था। भद्रा बहन ने गुजराती में गांधी से प्रभावित लोक विचारों को लोकगीतों के माध्यम से अलग अलग रूपों में प्रस्तुत किया है।
करना है निर्माण हमें नव भारत का निर्माण।
बिहार के लोकगीतों में आजादी की लड़ाई अलग अलग आयाम के साथ आती है। इसी कड़ी में चंपारण से बहन कुसुम जी को लोकगीत आजादी के महासमर में इस भारत भूमि के लालों ने इसमें योगदान को याद किया है।
जो गांधी का सपना अधूरा, इसको हम बच्चे कर देंगे पूरा।
भोजपुरी की प्रख्यात गांधी गीतों की लोक गायिका सुश्री मनीषा श्रीवास्तव ने प्रस्तुति देते हुए इस लोक गीत में गांधी चरखा से स्वराज की उम्मीद का जागना और गांधी को दूल्हा के रूप में दर्शाया है।
अरे मोरे चरखा का टूटे नाही तार, मोरे चरखा का टूटे नाही तार, चरखवा चालू रहे।
श्री रविकेश मिश्रा ने महात्मा गांधी का लोकगीत चरखवा चालू रहे की प्रस्तुति चंपारण में बोले जाने वाली भोजपुरी में बयां किया।
सबरे वॉलंटियर बनले बराती, हजमा बना थानेदार, चरखवा चालू रहे हमरे चरखा के टूटे न तार, चरखवा चालू रहे।
कजरी से प्रेरित इस लोकगीत में सुश्री अंकिता त्रिपाठी ने ग्रामीणों में गांधी को विषमताओं को समाप्त कर एक बार फिर से गांधी के अवतरण का लोक विचार रखा है।
राखे लहल माई के लजवा हो रामा, गांधी महात्मा।
रामेश्वर तिवारी राजन ने चरखा को स्वावलंबन और जन जागरण को प्रेरक यंत्र बताते हुए सोहर लोकगीत गाया है।
चरखा के राज सुहावन, अति मन भावन हो।
सरिता ओइनम ने मणिपुरी में गांधी भजन की प्रस्तुति दी है।
वैष्णव सिंह सोंजरी नंबू नोंगो बिनलाई जा नाय बगुं।
ताना भगत पुरुषों के लिए गांधी टोपी के साथ सफेद रंग के कपड़े पहनते हैं। श्री गंगा ताना भगत मंदार के पूर्व विधायक, एक जीवंत गांधीवादी और गांधी जी के सच्चे अनुयायी इस अवसर पर अपने विचार साझा करते हुए कहते हैं कि वैश्विक भू राजनीति में उथल पुथल के वर्तमान युग में असमान जलवायु परिवर्तन और वैश्विक महामारी गांधी के दर्शन की भूमिका और प्रासंगिकता मानव जाति के संघर्षणों के लिए रामबाण है।
So thank you for showing this documentary which has been made by Society for Empowerment. That is, today is Gandhi Jayanti. So I welcome all the viewers and all the participants, and I welcome Dr. Professor Krishna Raj ji on our today's program, that is Gandhi, Climate Change and Farmers. Krishna Raj ji is a well-known economist in Institute of Social Sciences, Bangalore. He is a well-known economist. So he will throw light on the farmers and Gandhi. Now, we are working, as you know, that we are working through Gandhian vision for the development of people, and that's why we chose a topic which relates to Gandhiji and that also relates to the humanity. So Gandhiji is one person today who is worshipped and known everywhere in the world. Whatsoever Gandhiji did, now that is being practiced by other countries, people. So this is something very important, that Gandhiji is being followed. Today, recently, we had G20 presidency meeting in Delhi by the government, and there also they started their work by offering prayer and respect to Gandhi. So Gandhiji is such a person, whether you like or you don't like, you have to share his views in the interest of the humanity. And so far the farmers are concerned, Gandhiji has much concern for the farmers. For the first time in Champaran, he came to listen the problems of the farmers, and that became the Satyagraha. Later on, one of the important movements of the freedom for the country. So that is one thing which Gandhiji did, and people still remember that, and the people are still trying to follow him, because that was the first example of non-violence movement, and that is being followed by people in other countries also. So it is a befitting respect paying to Gandhiji today on his birthday, and Gandhi Jayanti. Day is also the birthday of Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, who was also a very strong follower of Gandhi and his views. So we are just paying our tribute to Gandhiji, and um, that Professor Krishna Raj will throw light on the climate change and the farmers. So this is a very important theme, and I welcome all the viewers because it is our viewers who are keeping us active for organizing such webinars. And I am sure that viewers would also like to raise some questions if they feel that the any clarification is required, then they may ask questions. They are most welcome. They are our important constituent of the webinar. So with these words, I would like to request Professor Krishna Raj ji to talk, to deliver his talk on Gandhiji, climate change and farmers.
Thank you, sir. Wish you a happy Gandhi Jayanti to all of you. As you rightly mentioned, Gandhiji has been the supporter of rural livelihood, the farmers, cottage industries, and also the economic activities have to be carried out on self sustenance basis or sustainable development basis. So this was the main principles always he advocated to be followed by the nation and the people, or at the individual or at the macro level. Gandhiji was, as you rightly mentioned, he was supporter of the farmers, those farmers who are growing indigo farmers. There, Champaran, where he supported all the farmers, go against the British diktat. That was the Satyagraha started from there. That is uh, salt Satyagraha was started. So he tries to protect the interest of the farmers by the onslaught of the administration, British administration. If you look at the context, present context of the Gandhian ideas and Gandhian philosophy and principles and his the way he wanted the country to be developed was even today highly relevant. Today we are in 21st century. We are facing multitudes of problems, risks and uncertainties are part of our day-to-day life. So the Gandhiji forecasted or even visioned that these are the things will happen if man does not follow the nature's rule or man does not desist from the self-interest, more self-interest or greediness. So he was a strongly believer of self-sustenance. That is very much important for the development of an individual or a nation. Therefore, he believed that self-sustenance can be carried out on the basis of certain principles. That is more important. So self-sufficiency, he believed that was inevitable for individual or a nation. Therefore, he suggested that he dealt with the economic problems of the country and advised various policies for solving them. So he understood basically the human nature. Human nature means basically the man is self-centered or interested to develop personally, and he won't bother about others and also resources which are access to him. So, but when he was knowing these facts, he advocated that man has to certain extent or to an extent depends on economic activities that are very, very uh, important or inescapable. Man has to depend on economic activities for meeting his livelihood. However, he opined that economic activities need to be conducted on the principles of ethics and non-violence. So this is very interesting. So man has to live on the earth and he has to survive, but whatever economic activities he carries out, it should have principles embedded in ethics and non-violence. These principles should not, the man should not forget. What is this ethics and non-violence? So ethics, you can see from his seven sins, there he has clearly mentioned that one has to earn through hard work, or one should not steal and steal the goods and services, and other things is that the one has to do all commercial activities without cheating also. So these are the some of the ethics where he teaches, where he advocates all the economic activities should be embedded on ethics, and there should not be any non-violence. When it comes to non-violence, definition of non-violence, non-violence not only for violence carried out by one person to another person, but more importantly, non-violence against even non-human beings. Non-human beings such as the nature, even trees, even water, even other animals. So one should not carry out non-violence against the nature. So therefore, he suggested that ethics and non-violence should be embedded in economics that can be called as economy of permanence or idealistic economic sustenance. So this is how he always advocated even to the farmers. The farmers today facing multitudes of problems, especially they are committing suicide because of market forces, because of the loan they borrowed from the institutions, banking, financial institutions, and they are not in a position to repay the loan, and they are not in a position to even cultivate the crops under the slant of climate change. So the climate change, which is affecting every one of us, especially the farmers, are highly being affected. Sometimes throughout the year, so either the farmers face droughts, or the floods, or cyclones, or pest attacks, or market failures, or the market unable to provide the support price, or the market unable to provide the reasonable price for the crops. So in this way, the farmers particularly, they are facing a formidable task under the climate change. So in this regard, the Mahatma Gandhi's only policy was that the man should not become more greed. He should not be greedy in doing economic activities. So one should not be more greedy. That greediness leads to lots of risks and uncertainty, especially the greediness leads to more accumulation of resources, and this accumulation of resources, he observed that it is a stealing of resources from those who have not. Those are the poor people. The resources are stolen from them. So the capitalist economy, the currently the almost all the countries of the world are following. it is just like a the dependent economy, or we call it as the stealing economy. It steals resources from others. For example, according to Karl Marx, the surplus labor, the concept, where he applies how the capitalists make profit by exploiting the laborers, cheap laborers, and asking them to work more than 8 hours. Nowadays, if you look at the labor policies in India, now they are trying to promote the policy of capitalism, where the labor laws being revised to extend the working hours from 8 hours to 12 hours. So this already the world now facing two types of problems. One is that the environmental degradation that led to climate change. Another one is economic inequality or income inequality, poverty and unemployment, and all those things. So when the country is facing this type of problem, the main reason for these problems are the man has become too self-centered, too greedy, and he is carrying out the economic activities on violence basis, or without following ethics to earn money or earn the livelihood. So the ethos in modern days have been totally departed from the ideals of Mahatma Gandhi ji. So even today, the United Nations, they follow the path of sustainable development or sustainable developmental goals, but still the economy is not moving towards sustainable development. Rather, it is going opposite direction of sustainable development, that is called as capitalism, where the consumerism and too much production has led to these type of problems. So basically, the whole society, the whole world society is crippled with the problems, and they are under the what we call it as the imaginary idea of lifestyle, to earn more, spend more, and that led to perishment of the whole civilization in the coming decades because of the environmental problems and the market irregularities, market vagaries. So therefore, Gandhiji has always tried to find a permanent solutions to human problems, including economic problems, social problems, political problems, and educational problems, and likewise. So he tries to explain in such a way that the man should not be in a position to hurt others, and they can live peacefully together. And this peacefulness is called as, according to him, a sarvodaya. A sarvodaya means all should have a peaceful life, or full employment situation one should achieve through these principles. So therefore, he strongly believed that a economy of permanence or sustainable development can be achieved through sarvodaya, full employment, sustainable use of natural resources, preservation of ecology, justice in income distribution, and opportunities to all. So he has seen all the human race as one, and he never distinguished, or even never discriminated against the man and the nature. So the man and nature, they should work together. They should be respect each other, so that the man can enjoy a permanent uh, um, satisfaction, or a enjoyment of his fullness of life, only by respecting the nature. So therefore, the Gandhiji's ideals are always embedded on the principles of sustainable development or economy of permanence, as J.C. Kumarappa has written on Gandhi's Gandhiji's ideals of economic development. So, if you take these policies, these suggestions, these advocacies of Gandhiji's as a basic economic models of development, then the problems today we are facing, especially in all the sectors, agriculture, it may be agriculture, industry, or any other sector, would have not been to this magnitude. Therefore, the only solution one can the some message even today one can adapt is that Gandhiji observed that the rich should extend helping hand to the poor, and life is not just mere enjoyment but for serving the society who are in need. So this is the message he gives: the poor should not suffer further. Therefore, the rich should extend all the helping hand. They should not believe that life is only for enjoyment rather than the giving away some part of their income, some part of their resources to the poor, or sharing of some of these resources or pain that will help to build the confidence of the poor, and they can also be a part of the society of the society which is called as the inclusive society or inclusive development. Further, he believed that capitalism and mechanization always curtail employment that leads to unemployment and poverty and inequality in the society. This has become true today. So the capitalism, which wants to make more profit by introducing artificial intelligence and mechanization in the production, in the process and distribution system, that always curtail the employment opportunities for the mass. As a result, today we are finding jobless growth, and poverty is so high, especially the multidimensional poverty. Even though people are finding very difficult to build a house and access to water, sanitation, and good health and sanitation, and even for education, etc. So the inequality, income and other inequality in the society is persisting very, very high in recent time because of this division of resources in favor of the capitalist, that is also called as crony capitalism, where the capitalist always try to take the help from the politicians, and as a result they are making use profit and use investment, and also they are building empires on their own. So therefore, Gandhiji was against capitalist society, which is built on violence of nature and employees. So he advocated the need for development of agriculture for the overall development of the rural economy. So agriculture is the basis for rural development, and rural development can take place only because of the overall development of the agriculture sector. So therefore, Gandhiji tries to understand the rural economy of the India at that time. Uh, Agriculture was the only basis for economic development of India, and that can support the small scale and cottage industries for generating full employment, and that will help equitable distribution of income in the agriculture sector and industrial sector. Of course, he has also agreed to develop some extent the large scale industries, especially the mining and other industries. But most importantly, he has given more weightage or emphasis on the rural development through agricultural development, and agricultural development in turn can support small scale and cottage industries. So this was his basic idea about farmers development and rural development. The one more important advocacy of the Mahatma Gandhi ji was that he led the Swadeshi movement. That is very interesting. So, and always advised boycott foreign goods, foreign companies, and foreign capital to maximum possible to an extent to achieve self-sufficiency. Therefore, he advocated if a country depends more on foreign commodities, foreign investment, foreign capital, and the country may become more and more insolvency, that is in debt. So therefore, that's why he tries to advocate the policy of Swadeshi movement, where the country can achieve self-sufficiency through without depending much on the other countries. But if you look at today's economy, the economy is integrated under WTO, under IMF, under World Bank, and no country can escape from the clutches of these organizations. So all the countries of the world are signatory to the WTO, signatory to the IMF, signatory to the World Bank, and all these policies are carried out by these three important organizations. In that respect, and the Gandhiji predicted that the countries, even though they are sovereign, but they are the slaves of some countries today. They, especially the poor countries, African countries, they are slaves of Western countries even today. In this respect, Gandhiji always favored the self-sufficiency to be achieved through agricultural activities, and these agricultural activities always it is not called sterile activity. It is a highly productive activity, so that produces something. In case of industry, that produces something, but it relies more on agriculture sector. So it is called as sterile sector. But in agriculture, it is a highly productive sector. The country should give importance to agriculture sector. But today, the agriculture sector is more neglected in terms of investment, in terms of job creation, in terms of providing all the facilities in the rural areas. Almost all the cottage and small scale industries have been destroyed with the import of modern alternative or substitute commodities. So for example, the plastic that destroyed the pot making industry, and the toy making industry has been destroyed by the uh, the uh, the mechanical toys produced by the Chinese factories. So in this way, almost all these sectors, even car sector and almost all the sectors, cottage industries in India have been completely vanished due to lack of attention paid by the government. So as a result, there was a huge migration from rural to urban areas. Now urban areas are flooded, and we are not in a position to find out the way out, especially the traffic congestion. One can look at the urban areas are becoming a modern refugees for rural areas. More and more refugees are coming and occupying the slum areas, and slums are flourishing in recent times, and the governments are not in a position to find out the land and also construct the houses to these migrated laborers. In this regard, the government need to think about the Gandhian philosophy about economic development, self-sufficiency, and Swadeshi, and also the protecting the nature and natural resources for overall development of the agriculture and also the rural industries. Further, he was the only, I can see, he was only the practical economist who advocated the alternative economic system against the capitalistic economic system. So that this alternative economic system uh, was aimed at creating a self-sufficient society, creating a inclusive society, creating a sustainable society, and creating a economy of permanence, or all can enjoy their life fullest to their life. This is how he uh, he tried to visualize the Indian economy should flourish like this. But due to various reasons, the Indian economy went in a different direction. Of course, recently the uh, the MS Swaminathan, he was expired. He was pioneer in of green revolution, and he never tried to develop agriculture into a commercial agriculture, but he tried to uh, increase the food production. That was his was idea. So, but agriculture has become considered as an industry. Agriculture has become highly commercialized, and farmers became greedy. And as a result, the farmers tries to use and exploit resources behind their regenerating capacity. As a consequence, they are facing the wrath of the nature in terms of climate change, in terms of non-availability of resources, including the water, and the agriculture has become a costly affair, and the risks are uh, very high for farmers. As a result, the farmers are facing the heat of these all these the wrong things which are carried out with the wrong policies advocated by the governments. Further, the Gandhiji uh, wanted the farmers to rely more on natural resources, because natural resources are the only inputs for agricultural development. Natural resources including the water, the soil, the air, the moisture, the all the farmers friendly uh, 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 resources, including the neem, the other resources, and even various other fauna and flora that are even earthworms, etc. So everything is important for agriculture. So not only water, not only the soil conditions, but more importantly, the sunshine is also very important. The rain is also very important. The weather is also very important. So everything is now being destroyed. So farmers are going for what we call it as um, uh, the artificial growth of agriculture crops, especially under some of the farmers, they grow every crops under the roof. This has become a practice nowadays. That is called also greenhouses means the all the plants are grown under the plastic sets. Everywhere the plastic sets are built, where the crops or the uh, uh, this is how they are going against the law of the nature, and this has become a practice nowadays, and the groundwater table has reached bottom rock, and the food we eat today is completely what do you call it as the fullness of chemicals. We don't find the food without chemicals nowadays. Therefore, the human health is also being affected. As a result, we have to pay a lot of attention to the uh, health needs, and more and more hospitals being constructed everywhere, and the new variants of diseases are occurring just like COVID and others. So the man is unpredictable about his future because of the uh, nature's law he has been violating. Therefore, economic laws aims at materialistic progress need to be formulated according to the laws of the nature. Economic laws of a country need to be determined by the factor endowments such as natural resources on which economy functions. So we are neglecting the nature's contribution to economic development. We are appreciating, we try to appreciate the contributions made by the man-made capital and also the human capital, and completely neglecting the nature's or natural resources contribution to economic activities. In this regard, the Gandhiji, he advocated the epitome or model of economy of permanence that would be based on the sustainable or limited use of resources against the current method of mass production and mass consumption. So Gandhiji pronounced that environment has limitations to fulfill all the material consumption. Instead, it meets the basic needs of human race. In conclusion, Gandhiji pointed out that limited consumption is the answer to all the problems of humanity faces today, from scarcity of basic environmental goods and services to pollution of the environment such as climate change, and also inequitable income distribution among the people of the world. He advocated the policy of sustainable development way back in 1920s, 30s. That policy, even though was much appreciated by the policymakers, but they never tried to implement in reality. That was the dangers we always face today because of negligence of Gandhi's ideas. But if you look at the 1940s drought, but very much required in the policy change was to produce more food. That was the program which started in 1940s after the Bengal famine. But after overcoming, the government should have thought over what should be the permanent basis of the economy, and what basis the people should sustain on their own without depending more on the capitalism or capitalistic type of goods and services, or more investment or capital formation, etc. So somewhere we went wrong, but still the world is tries to bounce back. But nowadays it is too late for any policy to bring back the world on sustainable development. But the world has to face the more risks and uncertainties in the coming days for neglecting the ideals of Mahatma Gandhi ji. So thank you, sir. I'll stop here and. Hello. Sir, I am unable to hear you.
Hello,
Sir.
am I
Please
audible?
speak louder. Speak louder.
Hello,
Volume is low, I think.
hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now you can speak.
You can hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. We made a good deliberation that how systematically the Gandhian ideals and the Gandhians' view of development of the villages and the people that has been systematically that has been neglected. So you are very right that now it is too late to go back and introduce the Gandhian philosophy and views for the development. But the climate change is forcing the people to go back to their original place. Because the maximum input which we are introducing for the development of the people in the name of development or sustainable development is playing with the nature, and that nature is retorting through. You see, now this is now we are in October, but there is a long spell of rain. What this rain will create? This rain will create is bringing problem to the farmers because now they have crop in their field, and if this rain continues for a week or 10 days, then they may not be able to reap the uh, earnings from this paddy. So this is one point which we needs to consider when we say sustainable development, that we are doing all such things in sustainable development. So that is something which we need to do. If we look at the tribal India, we say they are much better than the urban India in the sense that whatsoever they need, they grow, and when they grow, their climate is slightly different from what we are having in urban centers or cosmopolitan cities. So that also brings their good health and happiness. The happiness because they are living jointly and they are harvesting whatsoever they are uh, sowing. So there is no such problem in tribal India because they mostly depend on nature and they go for the natural foods and natural roots and fruits to which they treat themselves, especially the nomadic tribes who constitute about 6% of the tribe, 6% of the tribal population of the country. They do not have any problem of climate change. We does not mean that I am advocating to live like a nomadic tribe, but what I am saying that some good examples, some good day-to-day life which they are leading, that needs to be considered in drafting policy for urban India or cosmopolitan cities. That will definitely, I think, will help the people from last 56 years experience of doing research and writing this reports for the development of the people, development of the country, that suggests that let us consider some of the good factors, good examples which we find in tribal India, especially among the nomadic tribes. And this we also find to some extent in rural India, in interior India, where such practices are in practice. So there the climate change is not that much affecting. And the Gandhi today is the Gandhi Jayanti, so we uh, organize this program purposely so that people may see it, may watch it, may listen it, and try to adopt even 2 or 3 points which you have recommended or which you have suggested or which I am suggesting. That may bring some change. That may bring some change to see change in the impact of climate change on the farmers of India. But let us see what happens. But the way we are neglecting the Gandhian philosophy and the Gandhian suggestions, programs for the development of the people, that is also we can realize it through climate change. So I'm very much thankful to you for your suggestions, recommendations, your deliberations, and hope that in future also you will be coming to the platform of Society for Empowerment. Your viewers are very, they are very attentive to whatsoever you present, because last time you mentioned something about some suggestions about the development of the tribals, and that was adopted by the government. I hope that whatsoever you have suggested, that may also attract the attention of the policymakers, and some suggestions, if they are followed, they may bring some change in terms of climate change and farmers and Gandhian philosophy. So with these words, I once again am thankful to you. The society is thankful to you for your deliberations, for your presentation. And now, if there is any question from the viewer side, they are free to ask questions. Viewers, if you want to ask any question, raise any question or any clarification, you are most welcome. No question, perhaps there is no question. Or perhaps there is no question. Okay then. No, there is no question. Thank you very much, Prof Krishna Raj ji, and we will
Thank you, sir.
come to when you find some time for us.